Yeah, I mean, I can't stand the rock star thing.
I am joined on Drummer's Review by the legend that is Jason Bold.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! Yeah!
Ah, man, you're like the John Petrucci of drums.
Oh, it's just genetic. My
Oh,
dad looked
really?
like Popeye. Well, he still
Did he
does,
actually?
but all the muscle's gone from his arms into his forearms, which is what Popeye looked like, isn't it?
Yes,
He hasn't
that's
got any
really.
anchor tattoos, though.
Oh, that's concerning. um, Jason, thank you so much for coming on. And it's a real pleasure to get you on. You are the drummer for arguably one of the biggest heavy metal and rock bands of all time, Bullet for My Valentine. That is an amazing gig. You've just come off tour. How's it been?
It's been amazing, yeah. We've done some of the biggest shows we've ever done. I think, like headlining the O2 in London back in February. um, all the arenas in the UK, Birmingham NIA, and then we did America for 8 weeks, which was great. Really big gigs there, and then we did a month of festivals, massive festivals. Really great time at Download. We were just below Corn, so that was great. Yeah, it's just nice to know that Bullet has still got a lot of pull after 20 years of
A
the
hundred
debut
percent.
album coming out.
100%.
But
And you've also had a career with other bands as well. Obviously, a lot of people know you for your work with Pitchshifter, should
yeah,
I say? Pitchshifter
oh, they were called
and
all sorts of things back in the day.
and
Oh,
Axe Wound as well.
yeah.
Huge, absolutely huge. What's the biggest difference for you in your approach for drumming for different bands such as Bullet, such as Pitch Shifter and Axe Wound and other things that you've done?
God, I think about this a lot because I think my style is so varied, and I think people probably get annoyed when they see clips of me doing of anything other than metal.
Right.
But I'm a service guy, I've always enjoyed drumming for people and just doing what's needed for the style I'm drumming in. And I think my style's it's always been quite technical, but in a musical way. Like I really admire Josh Freese. He's the drummer that I love his drumming because he's always walked that line between technicality and musicality perfectly.
Mm.
Um, and I've always liked drumming like that. I'm an old school drummer, I've always wanted drums to sound amazing when you're stood in front of them with no mics on. Because if you can get
Mm.
that sound acoustically, it's just going to sound, even better when it's put through a PA. So I don't rely on
Yes.
any triggers, or I've never, gone down that road really. I'm not a death
Yeah.
metal drummer, so I've not needed that support. But yeah, I mean, I forgot what the question was now. I do go off on tangents.
That's okay. That's well, your drumming. It's kind of it's aggressive, but it's sort of there's so much melody and technical flair within your playing as well. Was that always something that came naturally to you, that kind of tight and tidy approach, or was that something that sort of evolved over the years and working with different outfits?
It definitely evolved over years. And I think, right back when I was 8 years old, I remember programming drums on an old Atari ST. And so I was into the technical side of things then and understood what it was to play on the grid from a very early age. And then I got into Nine Inch Nails, which were one of
Yeah.
my biggest influences. And I just loved the programming side of it, and used to still do a bit of songwriting of that kind of nature. And then obviously to play in a band like that, you've got to be super tight to a click.
Hmm.
So the click playing was something I got down early on. And then the technical side of my playing came from listening to a lot of metal back in the day. Slayer was a massive influence, but also bands like Death, which were really technical you know, going back a long time now, but they were an amazing band. And that, I think that combined with then getting into Pitchshifter with the drum and bass thing, the sort of high energy style of that drumming was very inspiring. And I can remember when I first joined Pitchshifter, John, the singer, wanted me to play as loud as I possibly could. He used to say, "I want your arm back there, Jace, when you play backbeats." And that's something that stuck with me. That inspired me to play heavier, you know, and perform more when I started touring professionally with Pitchshifter. Because obviously touring really sorts your playing out.
Right.
You go from playing, you know, small gigs and playing big places, festivals, and I love playing big places. My style is suited to big places because I'm a loud drummer, and I hate it when people say, "Can you play a bit quieter?" It's
Yeah,
never
yeah,
going to
yeah.
happen. Obviously, I can play quiet, but I love the volume of drums. That's why I like playing drums because they're fucking loud.
What do you find is the most energy consuming? You know, the drum and bass stuff with pitch shifter, or doing a set with bullet. When do you feel more worn out after a drum and bass set or after a metal set?
Well, I don't really feel worn out, to be honest with you. I mean, I empty the tank
Yeah,
when I do a set with bullet. But I mean, I feel like I can go on, and I've really worked on my technique. And Bullet's got a lot of dynamics, although the Poison album we've been doing, absolutely loving playing it. It's a very dynamic album, but it's very fast and punchy as well. So there's a lot of fast songs, bam, 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 one after the other. But I think what's tiring about playing drums is the mental aspect of it when you've been touring for 6 months, going,
yeah,
you know, playing the same set. And that's the challenge, really.
right.
So anyone can play a gig perfectly, but can you play a tour of gigs perfectly?
Yeah,
And then can you play, you know, 6 or 7 tours around the world perfectly for 18 months?
mm, yeah,
That
yeah.
is the challenge. That's the difference between being a professional drummer and someone that does gigs now and then. It's the mental aspects of it. But I mean, with going back to your question about the two styles, I guess Pitch Shifter was a bit more fiddly with, different patterns on the hi-hat and ride.
Mm.
So it's a different sort of fatigue, really. But yeah, I mean, they're both high energy gigs, and I mean that's what I'm about with drumming. It's got to be high energy. I need to feel alive when I play the drums.
And obviously, you've spoken about the fact that you love playing drums, obviously, and it's a great instrument because it's loud. And take me back to your first kind of memories of when you started the drums. Do you remember the moment you got handed a pair of sticks, and how did that moment then lead you into being in one of the biggest bands in the world?
I mean, it started at school really when I really got into drums, and like all things like sport, you know, you get a professional sportsman. It starts with a little community of friends, because when you've got that little community of friends, you get this natural, very healthy competitiveness, which makes people want to get better when they see someone else playing something.
Mhm.
And that's what happened really. It was my best friend at school, Paul, had he was a great, you know, he still is a great drummer, and we just used to go to the community centre, and he set up his kit on a Friday, and I got into it from there really. Prior to that, it was my dad's drummer in his band who, yeah, I remember getting on the kit when I was like 4 years old when my dad did gigs. But I
Okay.
think, yeah, it was at school, it really clicked in, and I think my work ethic's always stayed the same. I've always wanted to do the best I can,
Yeah.
um, and never get lazy.
Mm.
So, you know, I've just finished touring, and it's the first time I've really enjoyed 2 or 3 weeks off without pressuring myself to practice my balls off. But I have been playing, and you know, and I always want to keep up the practice. So, but that work ethic's always stayed the same: practice and don't get big-headed,
And
which is what my
that's
dad say to me.
and how did that kind of work ethic lead into those opportunities? And again, I'm probably sounding like I'm answering my own question there, but you've worked incredibly hard, and then you've got one of the biggest gigs ever with Bullet for My Valentine. How did that situation happen for you?
I think after pitch shift, so I got into a lot of session work, and then me and Mark, who was in Pitchshifter, we wrote we had a side project called This Is Menace with guest vocalists,
Mm.
and we had like Charlie from Fight Star busted. He sang on a song, and then they had drummer issues. I think Omar broke his hand out of Fight Star, so they asked me to fill in. And then that was the same management as Bullet. Then I got asked to do other stuff because I was always willing to step in at the last hour and
Yes.
make myself feel very uncomfortable. But it's the sheer passion of, oh, I want to do this, I want to play, I love this music, I want to fill in for this band. And obviously, apply the things I'd learned as a session drummer, being a service drummer, if you like. And then
Yeah.
eventually, when Bullet needed a drummer to step in, they
Mm.
asked me,
Wow.
because I just built up a reputation and
Yeah.
I was just doing as much as I could really. And then when the window opened, I climbed through it and just filled in for them in 2010. And then after that, went back to playing with different bands. Killing Joke was one of them I filled in for. Pot Will Eat Itself, Bill Bailey, the comedian. And then in between, me and Matt wrote the Axe Wound album. And then I joined Bullet in 2015 again.
Wow.
And that was it really, it, that's how it happened.
So it's been sort of a 15-year ride, really, with Bullet, for you since you
Yeah, it
first
has.
started, first died. What has been within those 15 years? What's been the moment where you've either been sat behind the kit or sat backstage and you've gone, okay, this is the most Spinal Tap moment of my life?
It's probably the first time I played with them,
Oh,
which
really?
was at the NIA in Birmingham. And I'd gone. It was 2 days of practice at home, and then all of a sudden I was on stage in soundcheck practicing songs with the guys, and it was just surreal. And then before you know it, behind a curtain, about to play an arena that I used to go to as a kid to see Iron Maiden.
Wow.
And then it was just like I just felt like I was out of my body. And then you peer behind the curtain when the intro's playing, you see all the lights. It was like an army of metal fans, like something out of Lord of the Rings. It was just bizarre. It was like,
Yeah.
Christ, this is happening. And then on stage and feeling the fire, the pyro kick off in the first beat, that was their
Yeah.
Spinal Tap. It was like, holy shit, I'm
Yeah.
playing the NIA in Birmingham. And
Yeah.
I always remember when I got the call to stand in for Bullet back in
Yeah.
2010. It was one of the worst days I've had. It was a really depressing day. I was in a band called Slaves to Gravity, and really, really nice people. It's a great band. And I joined them in, I think it was earlier, it was March that year. Um, and I really felt the band was going to go somewhere. And then, rather depressingly, I made the decision to leave the band on that day.
Right.
And then I had a massive tax bill
Oh,
from the Inland Revenue
right.
that I was like, oh, great. Is that it? Is it going to get worse this day? And then I think I pranged the car as well that day. So
Oh,
that was three
no.
things. And then I got a phone call to fill in for Bullet.
Did that make everything go,
It did. It
did,
was like,
yeah,
right, I'm going to fucking nail this.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's
And yeah, so that it sort of fueled me even more. It's like, right, all that negativity is going to be channeled into this.
And talking of sort of like personal experiences, have you ever, is there anything that you've ever learned behind the kit that you have put into your everyday life? For example, the perseverance to learn a complicated fill or your basic rudiments when you were younger, and you've put that into, that's the same sort of mindset into learning something, outside from behind the kit.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And the other way around as well. I mean, I think the biggest thing is consistency. So when you're touring a lot, you get back off tour and I mean, for me, I know a lot of other people as well, you feel spaced out and it's very hard. I've got a family, I've been married for
Yeah,
a long time since I started professional playing, and just reconnecting with your family. I found that really difficult, especially if it's been a long tour and then you're home for a week and then you go again.
yeah,
Things are great now because you've got, video calling and everything, and
yeah,
you feel closely family, but getting back at home, and it's like a conveyor belt that you kind of, a naive part of your brain thinks, oh, it's going to stop and there's going to be a fanfare waiting for me when I get home. But obviously life just continues on this conveyor belt and you have to hop back on it. And it feels, yeah, it makes you feel a bit insecure, and it
Really?
takes yeah. And I think I've only just realized that when I get back home, it's just about the family and just doing normal things and not just dropping everything else, which
Yeah.
is why it's taken you a while to get me to do an interview.
Well, well, I'm very well. I'm very glad we
Yeah.
managed to get you on. We'll have to
But
credit
yeah,
Patch.
just adding to that, actually, so the thing is trying to be consistent as a person. So, on a drum kit, the aim is to be consistent, like I was saying earlier, when you're touring, play the same gig every night. You can't think, oh God, it's, same set again. If you're halfway through an 8 week tour, you've got to nail it every night and deliver with the same enthusiasm every night and find the same positive drivers every night to play a consistent show. So trying to be consistent as a person, that was my New Year's resolution, although I think they're a load of bullshit. It was actually something I applied to myself a couple of years ago and it's worked,
Wow.
So I read a lot of books on psychology, and there's a favorite book called oddly enough, The Art of Tennis,
Oh,
um, which is a psychological thing about playing tennis and trying to crack the mental side of it. There's one called The Art of Music, but the one about tennis is better for musicians, oddly enough.
okay.
You take someone like Roger Federer, world-class tennis player, and part of the reason he's so successful is he always thinks about the process, not winning a match, not winning a tournament, the process in that moment. So
Hmm.
he never gets really excited when he scores a winner, never got really depressed or frustrated when he hit a bad shot. And you can apply that to being a musician and your personality. Just be
Mm,
consistent. Don't
mm,
get way, don't get woo. Just try and stay level.
yes.
Because we have to enjoy the process of what we're doing, not the end result, not getting to the end of a gig, not getting to the end of your life. People miss the point now. It's about the journey, not getting to the end of it.
Mm, yes,
That's
that's very,
that's what
very
I
true.
think.
And enjoying that journey as well is just super important.
It
Um,
is, yeah.
and talking of journeys, social media is obviously massive at the moment. There will be, I'm sure, somebody watching this who is a massive Jason fan. They might have seen you on tour recently, or a download, or in the US or across the world, and they might have been following your career for a long time. But journeys are something that are often posted on social media, and you might be
Mm.
showing your greatest drum chop, or you might be showing yourself off in a certain way, but what you don't see is behind the scenes. You're hitting the rim, you're having to retake it, you've broken a drumstick, you've angered a neighbor or something. You don't see that part. So
Yeah.
taking all of that into consideration, and with social media being that sort of feeding that generation of instant gratification. What is your advice for aspiring drummers, Jason, that look at you as their idol and they see your clips online?
Wow. God, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because it's a great tool, and I get a lot out of looking on Instagram for art things, seeing how people do things. Um, watching some of the drummers sometimes. But you've got to have a really good filter in your brain. You've got to know what you like and just go after that. But if you're learning an instrument, I think if you're in the early days of learning drums, you need a really good teacher to teach you technique first. Don't
Mhm.
look online because there's so many opinions and you've not really found yourself yet. You need someone in the room with you to do that. And then
Yes.
I think when you've established a good technique, then you can start, you've got the confidence then to dip in and out of different drummers, for instance, different styles that will influence
Mm,
your style.
mhm,
So that's what I do. I mean, I love watching jazz drummers.
mm,
I, I hate saying I'll never be, but I'll never be a jazz drummer with the technique that some of the top guys have got because that's the path they've chosen. And it's recognizing, having the maturity to recognize things like that. It's like, well, I'm never going to be an amazing drummer like that guy or Keith Carlock or Jojo Mayer, but I can borrow things from that technique and apply it to my style because I'm proud of my style. I know what's me, and I think a
Mm,
lot of people miss the point. They're looking at everyone else, but they're not looking at themselves and learning to be proud and confident of who they are and how they play or how they do something. Because we've all
I
got a
love that.
voice and we're all very important. And the problem with social media is it stops, in some ways, humans becoming part of the bigger picture. It's a
Mhm.
very Buddhist way of looking at it, but everyone thinks they're on their own and, oh, I'm never going to be that good. Oh, look at the life they're having. And of course, everyone has crap days and everyone makes mistakes. You're just seeing the better side of it on social media.
Mm,
And
yes.
that's a good thing and a bad thing because
Yes.
I guess, you don't, a more realistic picture would be nice in some Instagram posts, but you certainly don't want
Yeah.
to see the opposite of Instagram with people posting negative things all the
Mhm.
time. Just had a
Yeah.
crap day, can't play today.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Although people do post that, but from what I've seen on Instagram, what I choose to see is just
Yeah.
things that affect me positively.
That's amazing. Um, it has been such a pleasure to get you on, and thank you for taking the time to come on Drummers Review. I wish
No
you
worries.
all the success and happiness going forward. And my last question for you before I let you go is, what is your legacy, Jason? How do you want to be remembered in 100 years?
As a musician, not a rock star.
Okay, wow, that is. I didn't expect those
Yeah.
words to leave your mouth.
Yeah, I mean, I can't stand the rock star thing. I hate all the bullshit and over coolness of it all. I mean, I love bands like Guns N' Roses. They're proper rock stars, but they're good at that. For me, I've always
Yes.
just been a musician and into the music side of it, and I just think that the true definition of being cool is being yourself. And when you try too hard, it's not cool anymore, is it?
Do you know? I feel like I could just stand in a room and listen to you talk while I eat my dinner. You and I eat a lot of dinner, so I'll be there for ages. Jason, thank you so much for
No
coming on.
worries.
Best of luck with everything with Bullet for My Valentine and whatever other avenues you choose to look at during your musical path. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Ollie. It's been a pleasure, mate. Take care.